Good day, sir. I am April Rose Simulan Poli, and I'm going to discuss about what I have researched on the concepts of aggregate planning, material requirements planning, and enterprise resource planning. So I'm going to start with the definition of aggregate planning. Aggregate planning is the process of developing, analyzing, and maintaining preliminary approximate schedule of the overall operation of an organization. It contains the targeted sales forecast, the production levels, inventory levels, and the customer's backlogs. This schedule is intended to satisfy the demand forecast at minimum cost. Aggregate planning is considered to be an intermediate term as opposed to short term and long term in nature. Hence, aggregate planning is also a covers about a period of 3 to 18 months. And it also serves as the foundation of short range type of planning such as production scheduling, sequencing, and loading. So there are techniques on aggregate planning. First is to determine the demand for each period. Second is to determine the capacity for each period. Third is to identify companies, departmental, or union policies that are pertinent. Fourth is to determine the cost for units produced. Fifth is to develop alternative plans and compute costs for each. And sixth is if satisfactory emerge, select the best select the one that best satisfies the objectives. Frequently, this is the plan with the least cost. Otherwise, you can return to step 5 or the technique on 5. So the next one is the material requirements planning. Material requirements planning is a computer-based inventory management for businesses. Usually, companies use this plan system because it helps them to estimate the quantities of raw materials and the schedule for their deliveries. How MRP works. So, MRP works and answers with the three questions: what is needed, how much is needed, and when it is needed. MRP aim to improve productivity through the use of computers and software technologies. So there are primary steps on MRP. First is to taking inventory of the materials and components on hand. Second is identifying which additional ones are needed. Third is the scheduling of production or purchase. There are types of data considered by MRP. It is the name of final product that being created, when and what info, how much quantity is required to meet the demand, then when it is needed. Next is the shelf life of stored materials, the inventory status records, which is records of net materials available. Next is the bills materials, and last is the planning data, in which it includes the restraints and directions to produce, such as the routing, labor and equipment standards, and other inputs. The last one is the enterprise resource planning. Enterprise resource planning is a type of software that organizations use to manage the day-to-day business activities, such as the accounting, procurement, project management, risk management and compliance, and the supply chain operations. It is a process used by companies to integrate and manage important parts of their businesses. That would be all, and I hope I tackled some of the topics on these three important topics on these three